go ahead and bring in Christine Allison. She is a life coach with us here on the Oakland County MegaCast. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be with us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Tell us exactly, what is a life coach?
A life coach is someone who helps people move through the process of transition and changes that are a natural part of life. So, what I do is I help bring people into the next evolution of who they want to be, how they want to be.
How
So,
does
I'm
and
an expert helping people through change.
That's awesome. And when should someone make that decision that I need a life coach? If they're stuck in life, and how do you come to that decision making process?
When you find yourself circling around and around and around, coming back to the same place where you've been before and you can't seem to move through it, call a life coach. It's very interesting. We don't ever think about trying to fill our own teeth, right? You go to the dentist. You don't think about, well, most of us go to the salon to get our hair done, right? So when you get stuck in life, when you're having difficulty with communication, when you're having difficulty with relationships, when you're having, for me, I'm also a certified hypnotherapist. So I help people to lose weight. I help people to stop smoking. I am a person, because of my own personal history and my expertise, I help people navigate the cancer journey to stay centered. I help their families stay centered. I help people who are parenting their parents, because I was my mother who had Alzheimer's primary caregiver. These are all major transitions in life, and I really help people to stay centered, to stay calm, to reduce their stress, and to stay clear so they can consciously choose where they want to go next.
Christine Allison with us on the Oakland County MegaCast. She is a life coach. Christine, are you seeing more and more clients right now in need of your services because of the additional stress of COVID-19?
I'm not sure that stress has really ever been higher in our environment. And you have people who either have the tools to know how to handle stress or they don't. And if you have the tools, even if you have the tools, this can be a really, really hard time. It's in general, people are feeling very divided. They are feeling overwhelmed. You mentioned earlier, how do I deal with the kids at home and the work at home? And what if I have to go to work, but the kids are at home? And all of those kinds of things that we have never, and I know it's said again and again, but we have never had such an unprecedented time as what we are in. And really, unless you've learned some tools to deal with stress, it's overwhelming. So yeah, there are a lot of people who are needing help, and unfortunately, suicides are going up. I mean, it, it is the best time in the world to get the help you need,
And it's
and it's not
okay.
hard.
Yeah, I think so many people have such a sense of pride, but it's okay to put your pride aside and ask for help. What tips and advice can you offer our listeners and our viewers to help get them through this time?
Well, the first thing I want to say is what there is something to be proud about is to go get the help you need when you need it. That should be a source of pride, because there is nothing and no one that has prepared any of us for this time. So, why in any way, shape, or form would you feel shame or embarrassed about getting help? I mean, it would be like somebody coming up to you and saying, "Hey, Ronnie, can you bench 300 pounds?" Well, of course you can't bench 300 pounds. You haven't trained for it, right? So, why would you know how to handle this? There's no reason to feel any shame about it whatsoever. Tips and tools. The first one I'm going to give everybody is first and always, it's free, it's easy. Take a deep breath down from the bottom of your lungs, in through your nose, and out through your mouth like you're blowing a balloon. You do that 3 times in a row. What that does is that automatically oxygenates your body. That automatically then helps your mind to be clearer, calmer. It hits the reset button on the fight or flight response. And it's something you can do all day, every day, as many times as you need to. It's one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. The second thing is to remember that this too is going to pass. This too will pass. The world is really a different world now, and that's okay, because we're still here. You know, to be able to say you are here is a gift and a blessing that millions can't say right now, right? So where are you going to put your focus? Where are you going to put your thoughts and your energy? Put it on what you can control. And that's how you are handling what you're going through. How can you create solutions? How can you create win-wins? How can you move forward from a place of being empowered and helpful to those around you?
Good advice that you are sharing with us. Any other tips that you'd like to share?
Absolutely. I would say that always there are blessings and gifts. Always there are blessings and gifts. They may not be immediately in your field of vision, but it doesn't mean they're not there. So look for them, because that's how we ground ourselves. Also, going into nature, you know, this is a beautiful time to be in Michigan. I mean, today it's kind of cloudy, but for the most part, to summer into fall is fabulous. And the more time that we can spend in nature, it really helps us put into perspective where we are, what we're going through, and the fact that this is just really, if you look at the lifeline of the planet, this is one speck in the history of the lifeline of the planet, right? So get out there, get your endorphins going, move, exercise. There's nothing better than generating your own endorphins, to put your hands on your own physiological health and well-being, right? You go run, you dance, you bike ride, it doesn't matter. Get out and exercise. Exercise inside, it doesn't matter. But to move is to change your physiology. So if you're feeling stressed, walk, bike ride. Even if it's, you know, we have a little island in front of our house. I'll go walk 3 times around the island and I'll come back in. That's 5 minutes. You know, give yourself a break. And the other thing is, really, if what you're seeing in your environment is weighing on you and creating more stress, then you really need to take a break. Take a social media break, take a break from the news, the things that are important, that are going to be helping you plan your trajectory for your life. You know, pay attention to those. But anything more than that can be really painful. So you are the one who is in charge of your life. You are the one who's in charge of your time. Those are choices we make. So we need more than ever to prioritize our own health and well-being. You know, it's like what they tell us on the plane, right? Put the oxygen mask on yourself first. Do that, because then you can give from your excess instead of your essence. You want to give from your overflow, because otherwise there's nothing left for anybody.
Christine Allyson with us on the Mega Cast. She is a life coach. Christine, for so many of us, our days are made up of our habits, and you've given us some words of wisdom to live by, to try to shake up those habits, and they're all free. It costs nothing, but how do we break out of our habits?
First, you need to decide that you want to do the work to do it. Second, find someone like myself. Hypnotherapy is something that is literally, we, the medics in World War I, used hypnosis on the fields before we had drugs to help people with their pain, right? So hypnosis helps people get to the root cause. If you're not open to hypnosis, that's all right, but truly get the help you need. You want to break out of your habits, then every single day you need to do one thing that's getting in your way differently. That might mean going to bed earlier. It might mean getting up earlier. It might mean, and this is extremely powerful, journaling about what you're grateful for every single day. Do you have your vision? Are you able to walk? Are you able to talk? Are you in control of your body? Can you breathe? Do you know how many people can't say that they can do that easily, right? So, we've said before in the past, count your blessings. There's a reason that people say that because, again, it's about putting things into context. You want to change your habits, you need to make the decision you want to, and then take it one step at a time.
Christine Allyson joining us on the Oakland County MegaCast. She is a life coach joining us on the show today, talking about a number of topics, including how to best deal with the many different stressors that have arisen during the pandemic and maybe have been exacerbated from even before the pandemic as well. So, Christine, you've talked a lot about strategies for relieving stress. Do you have any strategies for avoiding the impact of stress before you come into those kinds of situations that you may see at work or at home with the kids that may be there and you may be able to anticipate, but is there anything that can kind of prepare you to shoulder that burden beforehand?
I heard them earlier, your advertisement was talking about mask up and how people are finding that difficulty. I would say that we are the ones who get to choose the why behind our actions, right? So every time I put on a mask, I consider it an act of love. I consider it an act of respect for people who may not be as healthy as I am, for people that who want to stay healthy that have no choice with that. So how do we avoid stress? We choose, again, to look at what are our experiences from a place of love, from a place of being helpful. And by helpful, I don't mean martyr. I mean helpful, creating solutions that are win-win. Don't engage in a battle of wills. To fight to be right gets nobody anywhere except angry. Now, when you're a parent and you want your children to be safe or healthy or whatever's going on there, then that can be a communication issue. But the minute you feel engaged to fight, that is the time you stop and take a breath and count to 100. Why do you count to 100? Because the biochemical response for anger and for stress in the body is only 90 seconds. So if you can ride past that chemical wave through breathing, then what you've done is you've created the opportunity to stay calm, to stay centered, to be your best. And I'll say it again, we cannot emphasize taking care of ourselves enough right now. Get the sleep you need. Don't eat junk. It clogs the brain. It causes inflammation. Inflammation causes a stress response in the body, So really take the time to focus on what you love and who you love. Do things like what you choose to eat as a gift for your body. How can I make my body stronger, healthier? How can I make my relationships stronger, healthier? This requires us to really define what are our priorities in life. Who do you want to be? How do you want to be? Do you want to be somebody who is creating a ripple effect of anger and pain? Or do you want to be somebody who is rising above that and choosing that you're not going to give your power away to somebody who's baiting you? Right? So there are all these techniques, interpersonal techniques that I teach, communication skills, stress management, how to deal with difficult people. Those are all skills that can be learned. Listening skills. I have 2 ears and 1 mouth, although I'm using mine to talk a lot. So I'm hoping that I'm on the mark for you guys, because I'd like to know that I'm hitting what you want me to focus on.
You're actually offering us so many words of wisdom. So we appreciate you clearing your schedule, because you're a last minute guest for us. Someone else canceled. So we definitely appreciate it. And we need to hear what you're saying and sharing with our audience. So thank you so much. And I have to ask, if I'm a parent right now, I'm at home, remote teaching my kids, trying to work remotely as well. how do I not share my stress with my kids? And when it comes to the kids, is there an age that's too young for them to be able to pick up some of these words of wisdom and tips that you shared with us?
There was a book that came out a long time ago, and it was like everything I need to know I learned in kindergarten. And that was sharing, helping each other, how to be kind to one another, right? Not interrupting, not yelling, right? And when you as a parent are under all of this stress and you can feel that stress building, then again, I can't say it enough. Say to your child, mommy needs a second, and go out to your porch, go out to your sidewalk, go to the bathroom. Doesn't matter. Just take some breaths. Or even say to the little one, hey, let's count to 10 together and take in those deep breaths together, right? It can't hurt. It's perfect training for us to learn for something to do our entire life, right? And again, remember, this child that you are parenting, this is a gift to parent. This is a hard time, but to even be able to parent is such a treasure, right? So this young one who's in front of you, or maybe this teenager who's challenging you, right, as the case may be, right? It's still all about you are the one who is showing them how do you deal with stress? How do you deal with anger? How do you deal with conflict? And if you don't know something, then say, I don't know, but I'll find out. Give me a minute to figure it out. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And it's an important skill to learn, because to act like you don't know, we've all been in this situation. If you're in work and you're saying something that you have no idea whether or not you're accurate about, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So you don't do that, right? So the same is true for at home. Give me a minute to figure it out. You know what? This is new. This is new for all of us. Let's find ways to have fun with it. Let's find ways to be creative with it. Let's find ways to accept the new normal. Because here's the deal. We are never, ever going to go back to, quote unquote, the way it was. Life is a constant and continuous evolution. So what we need to learn to do, if we think of change like waves in an ocean, you don't get into the ocean and say, oh, well, there won't be waves because I don't like it. No, I'm sorry. That's just not the way it is. If you're in the ocean, there are waves. There are big waves. There are little waves. There are waves that will knock you over, and there are waves that are a lot of fun to surf. But you keep your eye on that wave, and then you ride the momentum of it, right? And you use that momentum to take you where you want to go. So that means you need to look at, where do I want to go? How do I want to be as a parent? How do I want to be as a human being? What are the meta messages, the overarching principles I want to teach? And then when you get down to the details of it, if you don't know the details, that's okay. Figure it out as you go. But it really is about learning how to be in flow and learning, always leading from a place of respect. But we need to start with respect for ourselves first. And that's why I keep saying we need to take care of ourselves. We need to get enough sleep. We need to exercise. We need to pray, meditate, take time out. I don't care if it's bird watching, doesn't matter. It is about giving your mind a break from that continuous, I call it the monkey mind. Can't do this, don't do that, blah, 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 blah. That makes us crazy, right? So we breathe through it, and we're saying this too will pass, and this too will pass, and it will. And if it won't, then it's time to sit down and figure out what to do with it.
So important for all of us to invest in ourselves. Yeah, I'm curious, what was your path to becoming a life coach?
So I've been involved with change my entire career. The first third of my career was doing interpersonal skills training. So communication and conflict resolution and how to deal with difficult people and interpersonal dynamics and process, how to move through the process of change. The second third of my career was helping entire organizations and groups move through the process of change as a process change consultant. So I have tools, I look at systems, I look at whether or not the holistic, and when you're talking about people, that's physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And by spiritual, that may or may not be religious, but it is, where we connect with the greater, where we all connect together with the greater part of who we are, right? When it's an organization, it's looking at all the facets of an organization. So I always have a holistic approach. So the second third of my career was helping organizations move through change. And the third part of my career was after I wrote my book called So You Want to Make a Change, which is a blueprint for how to move through the process of change. And because nobody's ever taught how to do that. And I thought that would be it. I wrote it as a workbook and no one would need me. And people came to me like deer in headlights and say, oh God, I don't want to do this alone. Will you do classes and will you do workshops? And so I did classes and workshops. And then people came up to me in those classes and workshops and said, would you just work with me individually? And so that was when I started life coaching before we even had a name for life coaching. And then about 10 years ago, I became certified in hypnotherapy, because when we get really stuck, it's because the 90% of us that is being run by our subconscious mind is at odds with what the conscious mind wants. Our conscious mind only runs 10% of what we do. So when people were really, really stuck, I wanted to have the tools to work with where they were stuck. And that was in the 90+% that is being run by the subconscious mind. You can think of the subconscious mind as, your operating system. We think of computers as having our operating systems, right? That's our subconscious mind. So our conscious mind is only 10%. And so to try to put that in charge, all of our beliefs, all of our imagination, all of our feelings, our body are all run from the subconscious mind. So I wanted to have the tools to be able to work with people consciously and subconsciously, of course, always, again, holistically, from a place of win-win, from a place of helping them to really enlarge the limiting beliefs that they're moving through. Because our beliefs are set by the time we're about 7, typically, because from in utero to the time we're 7, we are absorbing everything in our environment as our own truth. And then when we outgrow that, then we need to expand that belief system, expand those paradigms, expand the understanding of who we are and what we are capable of achieving, and tap into that.
Christine Allyson with us on the Oakland County MegaCast, life coach and author of So You Want to Make a Change. Christine, for our listeners and viewers that may want to learn more about you and your services, where can they find that information?
My website is my name. So it's Christine, CHRISTINE, Allyson, ALLY like yellow, S like Sam, ON, ChristineAllyson.com. My email is first initial, last name, CAllison@ChristineAllison.com. And my phone number is one of the easiest ones in the world to remember. It's 248-50-50-50, and then a 6. 505-0506.
That is a good phone number to have. Never give it up. Never give it up. Yeah. We want to say thank you.
Try it out of my hands, man. It's going with me.
Well, we want to say thank you so much for clearing your schedule and agreeing to come on with us. You offered so much great advice to our listeners and our viewers this morning. So thank you for your words of wisdom and your help. We appreciate it.
It was an honor to be here with you. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share.